Prince Harry thought one legal threat would silence the noise, but instead it detonated a bomb under his own carefully guarded story. The moment whispers surfaced that he was considering suing Lady Colin Campbell and royal biographer Tom Bower, the entire Sussex narrative cracked open like a fault line. This wasn't damage control anymore. This was desperation. And once the threat of court entered the room, secrets started screaming to get out.
Is it possible the ghostwriter dislikes Harry? I know people who know him. I've heard interesting things about him. I know he's, as I have said previously, very into the 12-step program and the whole druggy alky business. It is not the job of a ghostwriter to do anything but put the thoughts of the incompetent who requires a ghostwriter.
It is very revelatory, as you know, about Meghan and Harry. I got absolutely no help from the palace whatsoever, on the contrary.
I think more people want something in-depth in terms of the review of the Tom Bower book than don't. So some people just wanted one episode, other people want more.
No, I choose people who don't want to be written about, on the whole, whose lives are shrouded in mystery, and they want to hide their secrets, and I just love digging away to find out what they don't want us to know.
I personally think there are times when he should have. You are absolutely right. The book is littered with inconsistencies and anomalies, where Harry is on the one hand raging about people and how terrible they are because they are doing to him exactly what he is doing to someone else, but he's a wonderful person. But they're terrible. When I was pregnant, and Harry says, oh, there was a little discussion before we got married. Well, something's wrong right there. But anyway.
I think it's mixed. I think that once she saw Meghan when she came to London in 2016, 2018, and she reached out to Victoria to get freebies.
Had to admit that actually those stories had been published by other newspapers, days prior, and that's where they got the information from. Or the fact sometimes the palace released the information themselves and Prince Harry wasn't aware of it, or the fact that it was just sources and friends or people close to Prince Harry.
I must say it's always beyond Meghan. Meghan doesn't believe in reconciliation. Look at her appalling relationship with her father. She's a hard nut. All Samantha's questions from her lawyers, whether she lied about Samantha, about Thomas Markle in her notorious interview with Oprah Winfrey. So that's a major breakthrough for Samantha Markle, for Thomas Markle, and for the truth.
Prince Harry thought he could shut critics down. Instead, Lady C cranked the volume to maximum. The moment reports dropped that Harry is considering lawsuits against Lady Colin Campbell and royal biographer Tom Bower, everything exploded. This wasn't just drama anymore. This was royal secrets, birth rumors, and legal threats that could rip the Sussex story wide open. That's the moment the tone changed. Because lawsuits don't erase rumors, they invite discovery. And discovery is the one place Harry cannot control. Lady C didn't flinch. Tom Bower didn't soften his language. Instead of backing off, they leaned forward, daring the truth to come into daylight. And suddenly, the story wasn't about criticism anymore. It was about what happens if a courtroom demands receipts. Harry, insiders say, was livid, not annoyed, not frustrated, furious. Because this wasn't tabloid chatter, this was coming from two people who live and breathe royal documentation. No flowery phrasing, no polite insinuations. They questioned the birth, the timelines, the secrecy, the missing confirmations, and they did it out loud in front of millions with zero fear of consequences.
Meghan left Britain and then did the Oprah Winfrey interview. It's been really poisonous. Mm-hmm. Well, he does it because he needs a profile. That's the only way they can get money, by showing the profile. And for Netflix, everything is built around the future documentary series to promote the Sussexes.
Is married to a professional journalist who was the editress of the Evening Standard.
Fondness for, shall we say, stretching the truth. Could the single case see Harry caught up in his own web of lies? Well, to answer this and much more, I'm delighted to welcome the world's top royal author. He, of course, published Revenge, Meghan, Harry and the War Between the Windsors, Tom Bower. So, Tom, This feels like a significant development tonight. What's happening?
Well, if I was Meghan, I'd be undoubtedly very worried tonight what the judge decides.
From viral baby bump clips to courtroom warfare, this is the tea the palace never wanted poured. So don't blink, because once this starts unraveling, there's no turning back. Prince Harry is reportedly furious, and this goes way beyond bad headlines. Behind the scenes, word is he's weighing full legal action against Lady Colin Campbell and Tom Bower. And here's why these two didn't play it safe. They openly questioned the strange secrecy around the births of Archie and Liette. No soft language, no tiptoeing. They pointed straight at the gaps. No hospital photos, no clear confirmations, no solid timelines for royal births. That's not normal. And that's the word that keeps coming back. Not normal. Royal births are rigid. Names of doctors, hospital steps, public confirmations. A choreography followed for generations. But with Archie, silence. With Lilibet, more silence. No proof presented in the traditional way, no clarity. And when Lady C and Bower pointed it out, Harry didn't counter with facts. He reached for lawyers. That's where the panic becomes visible, because defamation cases don't work the way celebrities think they do. You don't just accuse someone and walk away clean. You open files, you submit documents, you allow cross-examination. And suddenly, private medical timelines, the ones people have been whispering about for years, could become public record. That's not protection, that's exposure.
Bower, where he doesn't go there. He doesn't go there. But he does go there as far as the fact that they wanted to keep the birth private and all the secrecy around that, and even the fact that...
The accusation of Oprah Winfrey. Also, I think they're reserving that sort of attack for Meghan's own book, for which we must now look forward in a year's time or something.
I wonder, when you watched Meghan Markle speak out, what went through your mind?
Public service, it's a bright, sharp, hot spotlight, and most people don't understand it, nor should they. The thing that I always keep in mind is that none of this is about us in public service. It's about the people that we serve. I always try to push the light back out and focus it on the folks that we're actually here to serve.
Not even close. And people noticed. When Harry heard what was said on air, insiders say he lost it behind closed doors. And honestly, who wouldn't? This wasn't shade. This was a direct hit. They questioned his behavior. They hinted at cover-ups, and they challenged the entire Sussex narrative head on. According to them, Harry and Meghan didn't just tell a story, they engineered one, a polished image meant to control the public, especially when money and influence started slipping. But here's the problem. Lady C and Bower aren't scared, not even a little. If anything, they look ready for the fight. These aren't rookies. They live for royal exposés, and that's what makes this dangerous. Lady C isn't chasing relevance. Tom Bower doesn't bluff. These are people who build careers on documents, sources, and testimony. They don't speak unless they believe they can stand behind every word. So when they didn't back down, when they welcomed the idea of court, people noticed. Social media noticed. Old footage resurfaced. Pregnancy clips replayed frame by frame. Comment sections turned into forensic labs. What used to be dismissed as conspiracy started getting a second look, not because people wanted scandal, but because the legal threat made the questions feel validated. And then came the warning that changed everything. And they claim they've got receipts, sources, documents, testimony, the kind of material that doesn't disappear under pressure. Lady C didn't flinch. The message was clear. Sue me if you dare. And if Harry does, legal experts say the fallout could be brutal. A courtroom fight could force private records into daylight, including those birth documents everyone keeps whispering about. And once that door opens, there's no closing it again. To make it even more suspicious, Buckingham Palace went completely silent. No denial, no clarification, just the usual, we don't engage in speculation line. And everyone knows what silence does online. Silence doesn't calm storms. It feeds them. No firm denial, no firm support, just the same recycled line, and suddenly the absence of a clear response spoke louder than any statement ever could. The internet did what it always does when official voices go quiet. It filled the gap, and the louder the speculation grew, the smaller Harry's options became, because now he's trapped. If he sues, he risks opening doors that can never be shut. If he doesn't, argument, critics will say the threat was empty, a scare tactic that backfired. Either way, control slips through his fingers. And the narrative he spent years trying to manage suddenly belongs to everyone else. This isn't about gossip anymore. This is about legitimacy, about credibility, about what happens when a story built on secrecy collides with the cold mechanics of law. Lady C knows it, Tom Bower knows it, and Harry knows it, which is why the fury feels less like confidence and more like fear. Because once a judge gets involved, there's no editing, no PR spin, no carefully framed interviews, just questions, evidence, and answers demanded under oath. And that's where this story is heading. By the time the legal whispers reached full volume, the mood around Prince Harry had already shifted from defiant to defensive. This wasn't a man charging forward with confidence. This was someone calculating risk, measuring fallout, and realizing that every move now comes with consequences he can't outrun. Because the moment a lawsuit is filed, control evaporates. Lawyers don't deal in vibes. Courts don't care about narratives. They care about records, timelines, proof. And that's exactly where this story becomes radioactive. Behind the scenes, insiders say the phone started ringing fast. Legal teams, advisors, crisis managers, everyone asking the same uncomfortable question: what happens if this actually goes to court? Because this wouldn't be a neat little defamation scuffle. It would be an excavation. And excavations don't just uncover what you want found, they uncover everything. That's why Lady C's calm confidence landed like a punch. No panic, no backtracking, no careful wording, just that unmistakable energy of someone who knows exactly what they're sitting on. When she said, "Let him sue me," it wasn't bravado, it was a dare. The kind that says, "I've already counted the cost, have you?" Tom Bower doubled down the same way. He didn't soften his claims, he expanded them. He talked about investigative teams quietly checking hospital records. He talked about confirmations that never materialized, about timelines that don't line up, about how royal protocol isn't optional, and how deviations on this scale don't happen by accident. Each comment didn't just raise eyebrows, it raised stakes. And that's when the internet truly detonated. This wasn't passive scrolling anymore. People went back, old clips resurfaced, footage slowed down, moments replayed again and again. What once looked like harmless oddities were suddenly framed as questions demanding answers. Not because Lady C told people what to think, but because the threat of legal action made those questions feel dangerous enough to matter. Royal watchers started saying out loud what had once only been whispered: if this ever reaches a courtroom, it doesn't just affect Harry and Meghan, it affects the monarchy itself. Bloodlines aren't symbolic in that world. They're structural. They determine titles, succession, legitimacy, and even the suggestion that something wasn't handled by the book sends tremors through an institution built on tradition. That's where Buckingham Palace's silence became impossible to ignore. No forceful denial, no statement backing Harry's legal outrage, just the same old line about not engaging in speculation. In any other scandal, that might have worked. But here, it read like distance, like caution, like an institution watching a fire and choosing not to step too close in case it spreads. Insiders say senior figures are uneasy, not because of headlines, but because courts don't respect boundaries. If this proceeds, nothing is off limits. Medical paperwork, communication logs, private messages, witness testimony. The very things Harry has spent years trying to keep locked away could be dragged into open session, examined line by line with no room for spin. And here's the irony that makes this situation so volatile: the harder Harry pushes back, the more it looks like he's hiding something. Every threat amplifies curiosity. Every attempt to silence critics magnifies their reach. Lady C doesn't lose sleep over lawsuits. Tom Bower doesn't flinch under pressure. But Harry, he has everything to lose. Because this isn't just about reputation anymore. It's about survival, financially, emotionally, strategically. The Netflix deals, the book contracts, the carefully curated image of the perfect post-royal family. All of it depends on credibility. And credibility is fragile when the foundation starts cracking. Critics argue that this explains the intensity of Harry's reaction. When your brand rests on a story, any challenge to that story becomes existential. It's no longer about pride, it's about collapse. And that's why Lady C's words struck such a nerve when she suggested that the truth, whatever it is, wouldn't survive daylight unscathed. She warned him plainly, courtrooms don't work the way PR does. You don't get to choose which parts are examined. You don't get to edit transcripts. You don't get to cry foul halfway through and walk away clean. Once proceedings start, the machine machine keeps moving, and it doesn't care who you are or what title you once held. Royal historians watching this unfold are already using words like unprecedented and dangerous, not because of gossip, but because dynasties have fallen over far less. Doubt is corrosive. Once it seeps in, it spreads. And in an age where every clip goes viral, where every theory finds an audience, even a small crack can become a collapse. And yet, the most revealing part of this saga isn't what's been said, it's what hasn't. Harry hasn't offered proof. He hasn't produced documents. He hasn't cleared timelines. Instead, he's reached for legal threats, the bluntest tool in the box. A move that only makes sense if you believe fear will do what facts cannot. But Lady C doesn't scare easily. Tom Bower doesn't retreat. And the public, it's no longer satisfied with reassurances. It wants clarity. It wants answers. And the longer those answers don't come, the louder the questions grow. So now Harry stands at a crossroads. Back down, and critics will say the threat was hollow. Push forward, and he risks unleashing a legal process that could expose more than he ever intended. Either way, the fairy tale is already fractured. This isn't just another royal controversy, it's a reckoning. One where silence speaks, confidence threatens, and the truth, whatever it may be, feels closer than ever to breaking through. And that's the real reason this story refuses to die. Because once a challenge reaches this level, it doesn't fade away. It escalates. And everyone watching knows the same thing. If this goes to court, nothing stays buried. Nothing stays buried. Nothing stays buried.